Please state your name and address for the record.
Sarah Freeman, 7684 Appahon Lane, Section 501. The mayor appoints the city administrator, but it's the board that fixes the salary. It is now 215. What are you voting on for FY17? Who knows? For Section 403, it says all employees of the city shall have salaries and other benefits incidental to their employment, which would mean auto allowances, etc., established through a compensation plan approved by the board. Furthermore, citizens are empowered they're supposed to be able to review the entire budget. It says, Section 906, that will have this, the summary, etc., and the board shall put out a notice of when and where the entire annual budget may be inspected prior to the public hearing. The charter makes a distinction between a budget summary, which you've just seen, and the, quote, entire budget. Mr. Lawton has insisted that the condensed version is all that will be made available to the public.
Approximately 15 seconds left.
Thank you. I asked Michelle Betty if I could review the entire budget. I was told all we got to see was the condensed budget. So what I'm asking is that you do not approve this. We bear the burden of this budget. So at least, please, do us the courtesy of knowing the salaries, fringe benefits, etc.
Thank you, Mrs. Freeman.
That you approve. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Alderman Barzizza, go ahead.
One more question, Mr. Lawton. In a conversation with you the other day, we discussed the charter situation and that your salary increase in 2015 and a 2016 increase. It's by charter we're supposed, as a board, we're supposed to vote on your salary increase. Can you address that, please?
I can understand that, and I may ask our city attorney to jump in as well, Alderman Barzizza. I've been with the city almost 30 years, and I can assure you that my predecessor, when the subject came up of compensation, that when it was presented in the budget and when the board adopted the budget, the compensation was included in that, and that has been the practice during that period of time. One of the things I specifically did this evening was to point out exactly what my salary was as of January 1st, 2016, made a point to describe what that was, nothing more, nothing less, and made a point to say that when the board adopts the budget per the charter, they will be adopting that dollar amount.
So for the 30 years that you've been an employee of our city, you didn't read that in the charter?
That practice has not happened. Let me put it that way.
I have a real difficult problem with that.
Understood?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Comments? Is there a motion to approve on second reading ordinance number 2016-2 as amended by Exhibit A, attached and made part of this motion, establishing the FY17 proposed budget?
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any comments? Discussion? Please call the roll.
Barzizza?
No.
Alderman Gibson?
Yes.
Alderman Clavan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Owens?
Yes.
Alderman Yonda?
The motion carries.
Yes, I want to speak to some of the issues we've talked about today. I'm not sure what the agenda is here, but this is not about a person's salary. We have a balanced budget. We have a AAA bond rating. The big picture is that we have a police department that is one of the top 10 safest, made us one of the top 10 safest cities. Our fire and ambulance is incredible. Public Works, I mean, I catch these guys doing good deeds all the time, and they help us anytime we can without complaint. We have a great staff. A procurement department that proceeds like it's their own money. I tell you, the finance and budget people have been extremely helpful to me. The procedure is to call on them if you have questions on the budget. That's the department. Alderman Gibson, do you have problems with that? Alderman Clavan, do you have problems with talking to them? No, sir. Do you have problems? Alderman Owens? Our city administrator is worth every penny, in my opinion, and he's worth more. So where do we go from here? Mr. Harris, For 30 years, we've been doing it this way. Is there something you have to research to find out how we're supposed to do it otherwise?
No, Alderman Yonda, the provisions that were recited are in the charter, and my inquiry over the last few days about that does show that this has been the practice in Germantown for more than 28 years. Mr. Lawton's appointment was approved back then. It has been continuous ever since. The compensation that he has been awarded is approved by the BMA as a part of the budget. And I don't think there's any question about being able to disseminate the detail as to that. From a legal perspective, the process has been followed, and Mr. Gabb advises from a finance perspective, the procedures that have been followed are perfectly appropriate, and that's been the history in Germantown. But as far as getting the information, I don't think there's any hesitation as to anyone's ability to get that information.
In regards to the legal opinion, I respect our attorney's opinion, but it's my opinion that if something is in place, like the charter, a document that has been in our possession, in the city's possession, and should be adhered to, even though 28 years have passed and we have not adhered to what specifically the charter says, does that make it right to continue doing something that the charter says we must do, that we must vote for pay increases? Why have a charter to begin with? I don't understand this. This is, if you want transparency and want to have transparency, and the people understand what's going on, they see the charter, they read the charter, but the common practice is, well, if we can't live on common practice, we have to live to the letter of the law or the letter to the charter. Period. End of story. That's what America's all about. It's not about what's convenient for us for the last 28 years. It's not what's convenient going forward for the next 28 years. It's about what's legal, what the founding fathers of this country and the founding fathers of this city intended in this charter. Not to be ignored, not to be abused, not to be taken for granted. As a citizen of Germantown, forget the fact I'm an alderman, but as a citizen of Germantown, I take exception to the fact that we have ignored it all these years. Maybe it's by pure stupidity, by accident, whatever. But the bottom line is, it is what it is. It's the charter. And so, all due respect to everyone in the room, we need to get on the right page. And regardless of what legal opinion is, with one person, no offense, Dave, I love you to death, man. But, this is something that is more serious than something that's just going to be brushed under the carpet. That's all I've got to say. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Alderman Cleveland.
Just to respond rather than react to a comment that was made by some citizens as regard to the salaries of Mr. Lawton. For the record, I do know how much Mr. Lawton makes. I know how much he's made in 1988, 89, and every year forward till now. I know what his merit raises are. I know they were given by 3 different mayors, 4.5 HR directors, I think 3 finance directors. I know what his benefits are. I know what his raises are. So I am well aware of all those. I wish Director Beasley was still here because I think her comments at the opening prayer were apropos, that I'd like to pray that we keep our eyes, our heads, and our hearts on the big picture and not get down and nitty-gritty into little isolated items. Thank you.
Alderman Yonda.
Mr. Harris, would you please put down in writing your understanding of how we go about with the budget so that all the aldermen will understand what you've said? I'd appreciate it.
We'd be glad to do that.
And in relation to the charter.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
One last comment. The charter is our Constitution. If our Constitution, it's already being stomped on. So is our charter being stomped on? Is our charter being ignored? Come on, people. Let's get on the right track.